guys, welcome to day one of the reading rush. It's like 10 in the morning and I've finally gotten myself together enough to film a clip. So I would like to finish the book today. I don't know which one that'll be. My plan is to start Vox on audiobook, which is a thriller. I have some cleaning to do later on today, so I will listen to the audiobook while I'm doing that. But while I was having my coffee this morning, I did start reading Murders and Metaphors by Amanda Flower. This is the third book in the magical bookshop mystery, and I am on page 26. So didn't get a ton of reading in, but this is the physical book I'm going to be starting with. This was for the birthstone prompt to read a book with a cover that matches the color of your birthstone. So I'm going to be starting with this, which is strategic because this is the longest book on my TBR besides this one, which I'm going to be listening to on audiobook. So I don't really have much thoughts on it so far because I'm only 26 pages in. The mystery hasn't really gotten started yet. But I'm liking reading this physically more than listening to the audiobook. The first two books I listened to on audio, and the audiobook narrator is not the greatest, and the last one I didn't really like as much as I liked the first one. Hopefully reading it physically will turn out a lot better for me. So those are the plans for today. I'm starting these two books. I would like to finish one of these two books. I don't know which one it'll be. Probably Vox, because I go through thrillers on audiobook really quickly. So hopefully I'll finish that one today. I would like to at least get halfway through this one. And that is today's plans. I don't really have much going on today because Mondays is usually the days that I reserve for all my YouTube stuff. So I film and I edit and I do all that stuff on Mondays, but I don't have a video going up this week, so I don't have to do that today. So I have much more time for reading, which is exciting. I need to fold some laundry and do some just like simple tidying up around the house, which is when I'll probably pop on the audiobook for Vox. And then I will check in with you once I get a significant way through one of the books and I have some thoughts to share with you. Yeah, that's it. Welcome to the vlog. I will see you in a little bit. It is Tuesday, day 2 of the reading rush. I didn't end up updating you yesterday because I had a really shitty day. Let me take these off because I feel like there's a lot of glare. I did manage to finish a book yesterday though. I finished Vox by Christina Dalsher. This book was for the prompt to read the first book you touch, and this is a dystopian thriller, I guess it's supposed to be. I wouldn't really call it though it's more of a dystopian. It takes place in a very near future of the United States where women have been shut up, basically. Women are only allowed to speak 100 words a day, and they have these basically like electric shock bracelets that they have to wear, and if they go over their word count for the day, they get shocked. They're also not allowed to work. So the United States has effectively cut its workforce in half, essentially because all women have been taken away from their work, and they have been put in their place as women who stay at home and take care of the kids and the house. It's a very disturbing world that's been created, but there's this thing called the Pure movement, which is what is driving these decisions, and it's basically trying to create this idyllic, perfect, pure American family. And as far as queer people, all of the queer people in the United States have been put into camps, conversion camps and labor camps, basically prison, unless they decide to have a proper family. It's gross. It's gross and it's bleak, and it was very intriguing. We're following a woman who used to be a doctor, I think a neuroscientist. She gets the opportunity to go back into the workforce under like heavy guard and restrictions because the president's brother suffered brain damage, and she used to be the leading person in that field, and she was on the verge of discovering a cure to reverse brain damage before all the women were taken out of the workforce. And so she's kind of called back into work, and the story kind of takes off from there. So when I heard the premise of this book, I was really thinking, okay, so this is going to be a really deep dive into the topics of sexism and misogyny. And while I could see what the author was trying to do with that, I don't feel like it came across as well as maybe they wanted it to. There were some things that I had issue with, and it wasn't necessarily what the author was trying to say or her social commentary. I think that was okay, although I think this could have dug deeper. I think this could have done better. I think the execution wasn't as well done as the premise because it's such an intriguing premise. Hey baby.
I love you.
I love you too.
You're beautiful.
You're beautiful too.
And can I have a snack?
Yeah, I'll be right there. So yeah, I ended up giving it 3 stars. There was a lot structurally that I had a problem with as well, as far as the pacing, and mostly at the end of the story there's like this big showdown, and everything happened so fast it was a little bit confusing. Not only that, but there was a lot of things that were kind of convenient and unbelievable. The whole premise to me felt unbelievable, but once the author like talked about how we got here to this particular point, and it's a very near future because it talked about Obama and the person who got elected after him and how things kind of went downhill from there. So I mean, you could see the way things progressed, how women slowly lost more rights over time, how the women that were in positions of decision making were slowly taken out of those positions. It was very interesting. Like, the concept is so interesting and really gives you something to think about, but the execution wasn't quite what I wanted it to be. So yeah, I gave it 3 stars. I'm glad I read it, actually. Would maybe consider reading more from this author in the future. But I also did get I got 148 pages into Murders and Metaphors by Amanda Flower. At a certain point in the day, I was starting to feel like I was getting a migraine and I just couldn't read physically anymore. That's why I switched to the audiobook for Vox. But I'm definitely going to finish this today. So the plan for today is to finish this and maybe start something else. I don't have another audiobook for the week. All the other books that I have are pretty short. I think the next book I'm gonna start is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, because it is the next longest by page count book that I have. But I mean, it should go pretty quickly. So yeah, plan for today, finish this book so that I can have 2 books down for the first 2 days. Hopefully update you more and not forget to vlog. Those are my plans. And I'll check in later. So it is a Wednesday, day 3 of the reading rush. I look like crap. Oh my god. I'm exhausted, but I did manage to finish Murders and Metaphors last night before I went to bed, and I gave it a 2 star. I love the story so much. I love the setting of the bookshop, charming books. It is so magical and enchanting. I love the characters and I love the overall story. What I don't love is that this book was written so horribly. I don't know if the other 2 were just better written or if I didn't notice it because I was listening to them on audiobook, but this one was bad. guys, it was bad. Not only that, but there were so many grammatical and spelling errors as well as redundancies in the text that just was mind-boggling. I don't understand how a book made it to publishing with so many errors. It got to the point where it was like, I was about, what, 130 pages in when I last updated you, I think, and there were a few errors in that far in, but not as bad as the rest of it. It was just ridiculous. And I really couldn't give it more than a 2-star, even though I love the overall story. The mystery itself as well was a little weak. I feel like the way the first one ended made sense. It was a stronger mystery. But in this one and in the second one, the mystery itself was so weak, and the way it was solved or wrapped up was just ridiculous. Like the murderer revealed themselves, and I hate when that happens. But yeah, either way, I don't think I'm continuing on with this series, which is really sad because I thought I had found a really good cozy mystery series to enjoy. But it's terrible. So next up on my list is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. This is for a movie adaptation of a book that you've seen before. Words. But yeah, that's what I'm reading this one for. I've already started reading this one. I'm 25 pages into this one, and I'm really enjoying it. I think that this is gonna go a lot better. I have to say, I'm not really feeling my overall TBR anymore. These are the books I have left, and I'm excited about this one mostly, the horror. But I don't know, I kind of just want to change everything around now. Okay, you know what? It's fine. Everything's fine. I'm gonna read and finish this book today. We'll see how I feel after that. Yeah, so that is it for right now. I'm feeling pretty good about my reading progress because I have finished 2 books already, and I will definitely finish this one by the end of today. I'm just not feeling excited about the books that I'm reading, so that kind of sucks. But luckily they're all really short books. I'm glad I did it that way, because if I had to slog through 300, 400 page books that I wasn't enjoying, then that would be very bad. But I think that's gonna be it for now, and I will update you later. Hey guys, so it's been a while. It is Saturday, day 6 of the reading rush, and I have read quite a bit. So I don't even know the last time I updated you. I think the dog's barking. I can't even remember the last time I updated you. I think it was Wednesday. I had just finished Murders and Metaphors. I then went on to pick up The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. I don't think I talked about this one yet, so we'll talk about it real quick. Seeing an adaptation before you read the book is that when something gets adapted to film, it's obviously changed and has a different feeling because of the medium. It has to be changed a little, adapted in a certain way, and you fall in love with it in that medium, get a certain feel and vibe for the story, and then when you go back to the book, it's not at all what you were expecting. That's what happened with me in this book, which is why I always, as a rule, read the book before I watch the movie, but it didn't happen in this case. Either way, I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5 stars. I know that this is like such a beloved series, and I kind of get it, but I also kind of don't. So I don't know if it's just me. It was written in, what, the 50s? It was written in the 50s, right? And the language is just so, it was a lot to adjust to. And I didn't enjoy it as much as I really thought I would. So I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, and we're gonna move on. I listened to a book on audio that was not part of my Reading Rush TBR, but it was The Plot is Murder by V.M. Burns, which is the first book in a cozy mystery series, and it follows this young woman who 6 months ago lost her husband, and it was always her and her husband's dream to open up a mystery themed bookshop, and she continued on with that dream after his death and opened up her bookshop, and then of course someone is murdered in her backyard, and she is one of the prime suspects. So she gets involved in some amateur sleuthing to try to figure out who killed this man so that she can clear her name, and it was really cute. It was it was fun. I gave it 3 stars. There was a lot of decisions that the character made that was just so strange to me, but there was so much I loved about it as well. The family, for one, her grandmother and like her grandmother's group of friends that live in this like retirement village, and they did most of like the mystery solving themselves. It was very fun, but I gave it 3 stars. Basically, I've read average to less than average books during the reading rush, and I was honestly ready to give up because I just wasn't enjoying my time. I wasn't excited about my TBR. I wasn't feeling it. I just did not want to read anymore. But then I picked up this book, which is The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa, and I loved this. Like, this completely turned everything around for me. This is a story about a housekeeper who gets a job working for this professor, and the professor is this brilliant mathematician, but he was this brilliant mathematician. He's still brilliant, but he is 60 years old now, I believe, and because of a tragic car accident, he suffered severe brain damage and now has lost his long-term memory. He only can remember, what was it, 80 minutes? Yeah, he only has 80 minutes of short-term memory, and so every day that she goes to work in his house, she has to reintroduce herself to him. In spite of all that, they end up developing a relationship. She has a 10-year-old boy, and the professor becomes absolutely enamored with her son and insists that she brings her son to work every day with her because he shouldn't be left alone. And the 3 of them just develop this incredible relationship, and it's really about found family, and it's about memory versus living in the moment and what's more important. And it was just so amazing. It was so profound. It was so simplistic yet so profound. It was smart, incredibly smart and moving and beautiful. I absolutely adored this. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend this book. The best book I've read, hands down, so far during this readathon. I loved it. I loved it so much. I don't know what else to say about it. I cried so hard reading this book. It was amazing. And it's so simple. It's so simply written, yet so beautiful. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, 180 pages, and I had such an incredible emotional response, such a deep connection to the story. I loved it. And now I must read everything by Yoko Ogawa, which I shall do. I will. So that's 5 books down, although one of those was not on my original TBR. And then, was it yesterday? Between Thursday and Friday, I went outside on my lanai and sat and read my book to fulfill the prompt to read a book completely outside of your house. And that book was The End We Start From by Megan Hunter. In this book, we're following a young woman who is pregnant during the midst of an environmental crisis in London. The sea is steadily rising, and almost right after she gives birth to her son, they have to evacuate London because London has been completely submerged underwater. And it's about the difficulties of being a young mother and caring for a baby during such an incredible crisis. And it was very interesting. I will say that it was beautifully written. It's all told in verse, and interspersed throughout the text is quotes from the Bible or like mythological texts and religious texts, and I thought that that was so smartly woven into the story, placed in such incredible ways that made it really stand out and applicable to the story. And I really appreciate it and what it did, but I didn't connect with the story as much as I maybe wanted to. This was another 3-star for me. I do recommend it though. A really interesting, intriguing story. It was definitely one that was difficult to put down. So, and it's very readable, it's very fast. So yeah, I do recommend it. I just didn't love it as much as I thought I would originally. I will say that there's a lot that I connected to in it, as well as this one, as far as being a mother, being a parent. This took place in Japan, this took place in England and Scotland, and the one thing that I got the most out of both of them is that connection to motherhood, and how motherhood or parenthood really is a universal language. And both of these books I got a lot out of. This one I didn't enjoy as much. This one has been the best book I've read during this entire readathon. So it's been very interesting. Today's Saturday, like I said, so we only have today and tomorrow of the reading rush left. And I still have 2 books that were on my TBR that I would like to read. We've got The Monster of Ellenhaven and The Old Man and the Sea, which I have started this. I'm only 20 pages in. This was for the prompt to read a book starting with the word the, but if I don't end up finishing this one, I did read The Plot is Murder, so I could use that for this prompt if I wanted. This is the only one that I really need to finish in these next 2 days in order to complete all of the prompts, because this was for the prompt to read from a genre that you want to read more of, which is horror. So I'm excited to get to this one. I'm thinking that I'm gonna start it at night maybe and read it in the dark because it's supposed to be a little creepy. I thought that might be fun, but I definitely think I can do this in 2 days, read both of these. And then I would have read 8 books in 7 days, which is awesome. So I guess that's it for now. I'm gonna get to reading and I will catch up with you either later on or tomorrow. It's Monday. The reading rush is over. Let's talk about it. So I don't want to be a downer, but this week of the reading rush has been the worst reading week so far this year. I've just had a really hard time this week, and it's not only, there we go. Okay, it's not only because of the fact that the majority of the books that I read I wasn't enjoying, but also mentally it just was a really rough week for me. So there's that. But I did read 7.5 books during the reading rush. This is my nice little stack of everything that I read. So let's go through these. Let's see. Let's just go through the challenges. How about that? Okay, so the first challenge was to read a book with the cover that matches the color of your birthstone. My birthstone, or primary birthstone, is pink tourmaline. So I ended up reading Murders and Metaphors by Amanda Flower. I talked about this already. You guys know it was not good. Yikes. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars and will definitely not be continuing with this series, but I did fulfill the prompt. The second challenge was to read a book that starts with the word the. So originally, I was going to read The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway, and I got 64 pages in before I decided to give up on this. I don't like classics. I really don't. Call me an uncultured swine, but that's just who I am. I don't like it. So I got 64 pages in before I just gave up and said, I really don't want to put myself through this. It was Sunday. I had just finished a book that was 2 stars and I wasn't about to read another book I wasn't enjoying. So I gave up on it. One day I might read this, but this week was not that time. So instead of this, I'm gonna use the audiobook I listened to this week, which was The Plot is Murder by V.M. Burns. I gave this a 3 stars, and I'm pretty sure I talked to you guys about this one as well. It's another cozy mystery series. It's the first in a series. I did decide that I wanted to continue on with this series because the first book was really cute. I think the issue that I had with it mostly was the main character. Yeah, I gave that one 3 stars. The third challenge was to read a book that inspired a movie that you've already seen. And that was when I picked up The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. The movie expanded on the story and made it more cinematic, and it had a totally different feel and vibe from what I was expecting picking up this book. So when I picked up this book, I was disappointed. Even though I gave it 3 stars, there's a lot that I enjoyed about it, but yeah, it was disappointing because it wasn't what I was expecting. And then the fourth challenge was read the first book you touched. And if you saw my TBR, then you'll see that this one was the first one I touched, and it is Vox by Christina Dalsher. This is a dystopian thriller, it's supposed to be, and I also gave this one 3 stars. It's more of a 2.75 if we're getting like really technical, but I marked it as a 3 stars on Goodreads. And then the 5th challenge was to read a book completely outside of your house. And of course I read The End We Start From by Megan Hunter, which is a book that was really beautifully written and very well put together, very smart, and I enjoyed it. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, not mind-blowing. Didn't love it, didn't hate it. It was kind of right there in the middle. The sixth challenge was to read a book in a genre that you've always wanted to read more of. And for me, that genre was horror. So I decided to pick up The Monster of Ellenhaven by this author here. And one book that I didn't get to talk to you about because I read it yesterday on Sunday. This, again, was not good. It was not what I was expecting. Basically, in the story, we are following a monster called Johann. Johann doesn't really know where he came from, but he has this ability to not die. He heals very quickly, and even if he is killed, he immediately comes back. And he enjoys killing people. That's, yeah. And he meets a sorcerer named Florian, who is out for revenge against the entire town because of something that they did that caused, or that helped to cause, the death of his family. And so the two of them develop this relationship romantically, and it's all about them being the monsters they are on a quest for revenge. And I really didn't like this. It had a strong start. It started out really well, the first few chapters, and I thought that this was going to be amazing, but then it completely let me down because not only was this tale of revenge completely unsatisfying, in a point unfulfilled, it was very straightforward. It didn't give you anything exciting, and it quickly strayed away from this murder and blood and revenge story into this really weird psychological thrillery romance that was not good. Like, you know how you can appreciate that a romance is problematic and disturbing, in this case disturbing, but it's good, like you enjoy reading it. I did not enjoy reading it. I didn't enjoy anything about this book. I ended up giving it 2 stars, and it was such a disappointment because this is the one book, if you'll remember, on my TBR that I was the most excited about. I thought that this was gonna be it. This was gonna be the best book I read this week. And it so wasn't. And that hurt. It hurt a lot. But that's the book that I read for challenge number 6. And then of course challenge number 7 was to read a book that takes place on a different continent than where you live. And for that, I read The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa. This was the saving grace of the readathon because honestly, I felt like giving up, especially towards like the middle of the week, like Thursday. I filmed a very melodramatic clip talking about how I never want to read again. I didn't even include it in the vlog because honestly, it was ridiculous. I didn't want to read anymore. I didn't want to vlog anymore. And I just wanted to give up on the reading rush. And then I read this book and it made me very happy. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It is beautiful. It is beautifully told and so profound, and it was amazing that 180 pages made me feel so connected to these characters. It's definitely a character-driven story, so if you're more of a plot-driven person, this might not be the book for you, but the characters really, they came to hold a very special place in my heart. And so yeah, I love this. 5 stars. Best book I read during the readathon. The only book that I actually really loved during this entire week. So those are the books that I read during the reading rush. It was quite an experience this time around. I had so much fun last year doing the reading rush, and this year it just felt a lot different. Like just the whole vibe of the reading rush. I wasn't as excited to do it, and the prompts weren't as exciting. There is actually a lot of legitimate criticisms going around regarding the hosts of the reading rush and how they handled certain things, especially the group book situation, which I didn't read, so I wasn't planning on tuning into that live show anyway. But yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna do the reading rush again next year, but I'm very proud of the fact that I read 7.5 books in 7 days. And my strategy of reading the shortest books on my TBR really helped with that. So yes, that is it for the Reading Rush 2020 vlog. I hope you enjoyed. Do let me know down in the comments below how your reading rush went. I really hope that you had a much better week than I did. So let me know down in the comments. You know I love hearing from you. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.